congratulations to our winners. The Real. Hey, guys, how are you doing? Cameron, Curtis, it's Kevin, Christian, and Jacob. Now, tell me about your area up there. You're from outside of Sacramento. Is that kind of like, is it farming country up there? What's it like up there?
Kind of, a bunch of hills from
Like
Placerville.
Vacaville, that area? Are you far close to there?
It's in between Sacramento and Lake Tahoe. It's called Placerville.
Okay, I see.
By the way, it's so nice to meet you guys. It really is.
Yeah, meet you as well. Absolutely. I watched all the videos with my daughter, and she was, she loved you guys right away. So it was a really cool thing. She was like, "These guys are great, Dad." So I called her, told her that you guys won, and she was really excited about it. And I wanted to say, loved your stars video on your website, wearethereal.com too.
Oh, thanks.
Really, really good stuff. So what would be your first question for somebody like Ryan? Because Ryan has done writing and production, and you guys have a similar background of having, sung in church, done choir stuff, done a lot of things, come from that background. What questions do you have for him first?
Well, I just admire the fact that Ryan, you could do OneRepublic and then also be able to write for so many different artists. And I just basically want to do that.
Started a band with a guy that I played in church actually with, and I went to high school with, Zach. And long story short, when we moved to LA, I learned kind of the writing chops and all that stuff in Nashville and started producing pop demos. I didn't have any friends that were, I didn't have a band at that point, so I was having to play all the stuff. And I didn't know it at the time, but what I was doing was programming tracks, which now I know, but at the time I didn't know that's what it was. I was just making songs. And long story short, when I moved to LA, I was flat broke, so I knew one person, and he happened to be Timbaland's uncle. And so that guy, the one person I knew, I was feeding him tracks during the day. I would listen to whatever was happening, whatever Tim was doing, and I would say, okay, I can do that. I was basically a good copycat, which is what everybody is when you start. And I would make tracks during the day, and then at night we would rehearse in West LA over off the 405, and played gigs. I played every single venue on Sunset Strip. We used to pay to play, and we got signed in the Viper. Then I got dropped in the Viper Room a year and a half later. We signed again at Avalon, and so that's kind of our whole story. But as far as getting songs to other artists, apologize. I think the first big cut, I was basically saying yes. That's the best way for me to put it, is if you want to produce, write for other artists, you need to get to LA or get to New York. You can't do it from a satellite city. The first thing I tell everybody is get there, get in the mix. And what the interesting thing is, you guys are good enough as a band, and your voice is phenomenal. I think that the bigger profile your band gets, the more other artists will be interested in taking songs from you. And that's just kind of, for me, I was just saying yes to everything. That's my answer is say yes. If someone offers you a gig, a cut, it doesn't matter how small the artist is. Go in, take the session, write the best song you can. I think the first big thing I had was like Bubba Sparks and then Frankie J, a bunch of old stuff, and then J-Lo, and then all of a sudden Bleeding Love and Apologize came out at the same time, and it's history. Yeah. Don't bore us, get to the chorus.
Yes. Yeah. Ryan, talk to me about what you look for when you're writing a song, how you come up with the structure of your songs, and kind of how you work that out.
I mean, for me, it depends on what I'm writing for. If I'm writing for, let's say, for somebody else, with another artist or for somebody else, then I can't explain. There's a lot of things that can be learned when it comes to songwriting, and then there's a couple things that I don't know how to teach, and I don't know if they could be learned. They seem more intrinsic, and that's kind of the impetus of a song idea. Like, why is it that one person has an idea for a song and it's terrible, and the other one has an idea and it's profound and it's interesting and it's good? I don't know the answer to that. I think you have to be, the more critical you are of yourself, the less critical A&Rs will have to be of you. And always be your own biggest critic, because you guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you got 5 people in a band. So the way I see it, that's 5 filters. That's like 5 filters of bad ideas and BS. And you want to pump those songs through all 5, not just your parents or your girlfriends, because they'll always tell you it sounds amazing. And as far as song structure, it kind of depends on what you're going for. Like, for if it's a pop, if you're writing, let's say, if you're writing something for Kelly Clarkson, 90% of the songs on the radio, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, out. And, the arrangement, you guys know that. It's very, very structured. But what's cool about where radio's at today and where music is at is that you don't have to follow that at all. It's back to ingenuity and taking risks, and you don't have to stress out about an arrangement. I think you absorb good music, and then if you absorb enough good music, then what comes out in theory is good music. It's amazing. It's amazing how not burning bridges and just being a generally cool person can actually help you have a career. Like, it's instrumental. As far as the writing process goes within bands, ours is a bit bizarre, and it's the hardest songs for me to write are OneRepublic songs, hands down hardest, because I actually have to get very personal and introspective. I don't get to have another act, kind of be my, coming for me. So some of the songs we write, our first single involves 3 of the guys in the band writing on it. And a lot of the songs that we've had, or hits or singles or whatever, were just me writing. It's like Pete said, it is best song wins. And we get into fights, and there's a lot of stubbornness, but there is zero room whatsoever for ego. If you have ego and you're throwing that around, that will cloud out your better judgment, and there's no room for it. And so that's the only thing I'll say is when you're writing. And the other thing I'll say is this: as far as writing within a band, look, I think everybody in the band, in any given band, just because you play an instrument doesn't mean you're a songwriter. And vice versa. You might be a great songwriter, but suck at your instrument. So, to me, it's everybody wins. If there's only 1 or 2 of you guys, or let's say that most of the time you guys write together, and then all of a sudden one of you writes the biggest hit, of your band's career, don't grudge the other people for it. Like, let that song will end up blowing you guys up. Your guarantees will go up. Your tour base goes up, and it keeps the door open for more singles, more albums, et cetera, et cetera. Best song wins, and yeah.
You talked about when you made your first record, Cameron. You and Curtis were working on it together. So is the songwriting process you 2 guys together? Is that how it works, or do you do most of the writing yourself, Cameron?
I do most of the writing, and then I'll usually bring the idea to the guys, and then we kind of develop the musical stance of it. So I'll just kind of bring them a chorus or a verse and a chorus, and then we'll kind of then they'll go, hey, that's actually has potential, or that really sucks, So among the other thousands that I record on my iPhone every day, it just feels like, I just bring a lot of ideas to the table, and then we just kind of go from there and see which one fits,
Oh, absolutely.
We're not much of a jam band. We record a lot of the stuff that these guys do when we're just jamming, because it sounds amazing. But then just with songs, it's usually me just in a room, throwing down some ideas, and then going back over them over time.
Sounds good.
Given that you don't have the luxury of touring all around North America and in a van and doing all the stuff that a lot of bands do, it doesn't mean it's impossible whatsoever. But what that does mean, the caveat to that is now your songwriting must be exceptional. Your songs, because if you're going, Matt, you could maybe chime in here a little bit too. There's something to be said with, obviously, an A&R looks at a band that already has a huge touring base and has done the legwork, that speaks volumes. You combine that with a great song, and even better, sometimes bands will get signed without that hit song because the A&R can sense that they're headed that direction. I was in a very similar situation though. When I landed in LA, I had Apologize and like 4 other songs, and that was the only thing I had, and we didn't do tons of touring, but we played every single venue in Los Angeles probably 5 or 6 times. We played in our area, and the reality is you don't have to. There's another band I know that recently got signed called 21 Pilots, and my buddy of mine, Pete Gamble, is doing the record, and Greg Wells is producing, and they're a Columbus, Ohio band. And to my knowledge, they don't, outside of Columbus, Ohio, that's it. In Columbus, Ohio, they own that city. They own it. They're the first local band to sell out the largest theater in that city. that's what you should do. Because I'm friends with the Fray, same deal. They weren't touring at all, but they had Over My Head, they had How to Save a Life, and they owned Denver, and all the labels came to them. So there is a way around it, but you better have a hit song.
Do you know that the guys in The Real actually went to Africa and did some charity stuff? Tell us a bit about that story, because that's very interesting to me. Cameron, what did you guys do?
We actually just went to just go and play music and just hopefully inspire people to keep doing what they're doing. There's a lot of missionaries over there, and so that was kind of the goal. And also, a few of us sponsored kids through an organization called Compassion International. So we got to go meet our girls, our daughters that we sponsor there. So that was pretty amazing.
I know the Compassion actually pretty well.
You know that organization, Ryan?
Yeah, Compassion's based in Colorado Springs, which is where I went to high school, and at least I think they're still based there. And we met with them a couple different times, actually. We've talked to them. We have a charity that we have called the Good Life Foundation, and this next album we're going to be partnering with a couple people. Very likely that we'll actually do a trip with Compassion International.
Right. That's cool.
And then we also just went to Christian and I went to India, and we're with an organization called Courage to Be You.
Courage Worldwide.
Well, it's actually changed to Girls Worldwide, but since we went to India, that's probably what happened.
Yeah.
But so basically, it's fighting sex trafficking and helping people find their purpose to live, basically lives of purpose.
So they have homes of restoration, and they kind of get, like a rehabilitation center. So we play these concerts, and then we raise funds
for the
Courage houses.
Yeah, for the girls that are rescued out of sex trafficking.
That's fantastic.
So that's kind of our goal, to use what we've been given to make a difference, you know. And especially the arts, that's what we love to do. We love music, so that's why we're going to write songs for this. You know.
Great information there. Now, Ryan, again, much respect for you. How your perseverance, your great songwriting, your band OneRepublic, all great stuff. The songs that you've written. What's the last thing you'd like to say to the guys in The Real before we head out?
I think doubling what Pete said, having to stay true to your own sound and who you are 100% of the time. Absolutely don't chase what's happening right now with music. Never, ever. If you chase it, it always eludes you. It's even better if what you're doing sounds oddly like it doesn't belong, because the likelihood is it'll be even bigger. And the last thing I'll say is, because of you guys' situation with the marriages and everything, just to reiterate, you should own Sacramento and all the surrounding areas. Just take it over, pump up the songwriting, write the best songs humanly possible, own your town, and I guarantee you guys will make a career out of it.
Absolutely.
And for if you get really nervous, a little bit of Jim Beam before you hit the stage doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Absolutely. Without a question. You guys, anything you want to say parting to Ryan? Cameron?
I guess since I'm a music director at my church, so you recommend that I keep doing that and not move to LA and we just own Sacramento, right? So
I would say, if you're the MD at your church, I would say scratch the previous comment about the Jim Beam, and then I would say, well, at least on Sunday mornings. Half my band, my bass player I got from a massive church in Orange County, my drummer, that's a pretty good gig to have. So don't forsake that. And I know a couple other MDs who now have successful artists, signed artists. So I would say, look, the reality is, if you want to write and produce for other people, yes, move to LA. I'm going to be frank with you, it's not going to happen out of, the town that you're in. I don't think it will anyway. But for your band, you guys can absolutely take off out of where you're from. 100%, I have no doubt in my mind. Be the best thing that's in your town, and I look forward to within the next year, I want to, whatever the biggest theater is in Sacramento, the 2,000 seater. I've probably played it actually. You guys, I'm sure Pete has. You guys need to sell it out. Make that your goal, like Pete said. Start with reasonable, or unreasonable goals, but actually conquer them. So I want you guys to sell out the theater in Sacramento.
look out for the real to be coming your way soon.
I start to lose control, while all my fears fly out the door. 'Cause I was made for you, and you were made for me.